Into another episode of Blockchain Basement. We've got that was close. That was a close call.
Jeez.
You almost that was an eye reveal from Crypto Sunglasses over there. So.
Delete it. Restart the stream.
Right, start us over. Wait, this didn't happen. Delete it like what was I gonna say? Who had to delete that tweet the other day? Delete it like a delete it like well, never mind. I'm not gonna make that reference.
Don't do it.
I'm not gonna get canceled.
Too soon.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome back to another episode. This is the Goofy Show where we hang out, we talk crypto with our friends in the basement here. We will pretend it didn't flood with water 2 days ago. We weren't mopping everything up with buckets in the bathroom and all that kind of stuff. But hey, you guys are right. It's always musty in the basement. We don't know what's going on in the basement sometimes. But joined by the one and only Kelly Kellum of BitLab Academy fame, Joel Cox, aka Hit Network Gaming, who isn't actually on there. He just slid in here last minute. He's going to be going live at 2 o'clock, so he's going to join us for the beginning, and then we'll probably raid him towards the end. The one and only lovely Ali Lee and everybody's favorite neighbor, Drew.
Oh, hello.
AKA Crypto Prepper, stepping up his game there. And the aforementioned Crypto Sunglasses.
The Dictator.
The Nictator, as they call him, yes, with the BTC Bitcoin logo on one eye, BTC on the other. You could say he has laser eyes. He's our maximalish representative, the mining representative. And as always, we're welcome with all of you guys. Hodl Gang, Chef Crypto, Unforgettable Name, Corey Harden, Gatalife, Joseph, Cupidors.
Manawak somewhere.
Yeah, Manawak's in there. S-By, Yummy, PUBG Mobile. Man, people still play PUBG, huh? Mr. Techno Goody. Yeah, anyway. Welcome in all of you guys.
Salty.
Casino Doggy, just for DZ Lunacy is up because Binance burned 6 million of them last night. Yeah, that was part of that hack, right? They had to burn some of those. Is that maybe not? No, I'm getting too many things going on with Binance. So
Anchor hack.
yeah, the Anchor exploit, and it did involve some BNB or BUSD, I think, was getting messed with some of that. So anyway, today we're going to be talking a little bit about Bitcoin suddenly plunged. We watched yesterday as it was hanging up at a decent price. So Bitcoin suddenly plunging between $17,000. Here's why. We're going to be looking into that. We've got the U.S. Department of Justice wants FTX fraud allegations to be invested. They are asking right now, Maxine Waters. It was a little bit of a soft ask, but definitely saying they are interested in talking with SBF. I've got a new conspiracy theory we're going to be talking about. Here, I won't show it, but you know, this was the thought that came to my mind after listening to the space last night. I know Nick was in there a lot as well. The SBF, he did come out and do a live Twitter Spaces, answered a lot of questions, said a lot of things that I think
Did he though?
He responded.
He was like the Matrix. He was.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, he was responding to a lot of questions.
Close to them. I'm very close to the mic.
Okay,
Closer to the mic. Yeah, come on. Yeah, that's
Can
close
you hear
enough.
me
Not
now?
in your.
Get up on it.
Yeah, exactly. That's where every guy's mind goes.
Guys, I want everybody to know. For people who don't realize, we have the stream that you see us on, this morning stream, then this blockchain basement, and then around the blockchain. The work here is so much more that goes beyond just being on stream. I told him right now, he asked me to come in here and be on this, and I was like, I have so much to do. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, you know what? I'll come in and do this because I'm still working, but I feel like I'm on break because I get to hang out with all you all here in chat. So thank you guys for being a part of this community with us.
Yeah, it is fun. This is our, like he said, it is fun basically to come down here, hang out, and talk crypto with our friends. If we have time, we'll talk about Firefox developer Mozilla going all in on the metaverse. For those of you who don't know, this is Brandon Ike, one of the creators and big kind of driving forces behind Mozilla, Thunderbird, JavaScript, and the Brave browser. So that there's some interesting things with them getting involved with the metaverse. But real quick, I'm gonna go through this. Well, let's see. Do we want to start? Yeah, we got to start with this. I mean, basically, price of Bitcoin. Well, let's see if we can pull up Coin Market Cap just so you guys can see the price. Price of Bitcoin holding about 16.9. As we know, yesterday or recently, we had pumped up just a little bit. Was looking bullish, holding up here 17.1, 17.2, and then obviously dramatic drop first thing this morning as soon as those job numbers came out, and that's really what a lot of this has to do with was purely the job numbers. So price of Bitcoin, largest crypto. Yeah. Get rid of all those extra words. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the world's largest economy unexpectedly added 263,000 in non-farm payrolls last month. The market was expecting a much smaller increase of 200,000 jobs. Futures tied to U.S. stock market indices also dropped sharply, basically along with Bitcoin. A lot of people, this is where they'd say the correlation is involved, which at this point I tend to agree. Bitcoin and stocks seem to be fairly correlated to the macro. Will we see a divergence from that next year? That's kind of the big question. The fact that the jobs market is refusing to cool down right now might dissuade Federal Reserves from moderating the pace of interest rate hikes. Bitcoin rallied together with stocks earlier this week, and we talked about it on this show, but we actually watched it live on this show as the chairman, Powell, came out and spoke. The price just went straight up, basically, as he was alluding to backing off rate hikes and cooling as the market went forward. I tend to agree. I think it was Chemistry Bro mentioned, that they'll probably ladder out just like they laddered in. They did 25, 50, and then 4 straight. Oh, no, it was Soloway, I think, yesterday on the morning stream. 25, 50, and then 4 straight 75s. He think they'll do 50 here in December and then a 25 and then maybe hold for a while.
Not anymore.
What's that?
Not anymore.
So you think they might go 50 and then another 50?
So here's the story within the story. TJ, you want to pull up the labor participation rate stat?
Sure.
See if that jumped up any, because there is a lot of shenanigans with these jobs reports. So what they're counting, the jobs reports that you hear, there's 2 different metrics. I forget what the names are, but there's two different reports. The one that gets reported in the mainstream media is essentially W-2s and I-9s that were created during this chunk of time. It is not individual social security numbers that have acquired, who didn't have a W-2 or an I-9, have acquired an I-9. That's an important distinction because what people are doing, and if you have the labor force participation rate up, TJ, let's pull that up. Yeah, let's look at that real quick.
This is what you're looking for?
Yeah. So, okay, interesting. It's lower now than it was in February. And that is because, here's the thing, that is because people are getting gig jobs. They are not becoming gainfully employed.
They're not W-2 employees.
They could be. Have people be 2 W-2 jobs.
Yep.
But they're getting extra jobs. This is not a healthy indicator of the economy by any stretch of the imagination. So don't be fooled thinking we're adding all these jobs. People are barely making it, and they're going in debt hand over fist. We saw that last week. So yeah, people are hurting and they're taking on more work. That's what this jobs report is.
And Enzo Mining was asking, do we know if the jobs report includes seasonal jobs? I'm sure I know there's a lot of different versions, some that do, some that don't.
Non-pay. It says non-farm jobs,
right?
But seasonal jobs, are not added.
But you know, one of the things that I want us to also consider with this is, like, even with the numbers coming in, the preliminary numbers coming in with Black Friday sales being some astronomical number, one of the things I don't think a lot of people are taking into consideration is that there's a degradation of balance of healthy financial participation within, basically balancing our lives. I remember my grandfather on both sides never bought anything on credit. They would, but they would pay it off within the month. Every house, every car, everything they bought because they earned for it. Now we're spending more money, and it makes it look like, okay, we had this huge preliminary sort of sales numbers for Black Friday, but how much of that is actually cash coming out of an account, a debit, versus credit being charged? It's actually basically disproportionately making us more underwater. It's just obfuscated with these numbers.
Yeah, no, it is true. It's. And we've seen this in the past. We've talked about it before, the way they change definitions on what's a recession, the way they change, they use a lot of these things to influence the market. And it's baffling that, who sets the projection. If you miss the projection, that's what sets a lot of this stuff off. So it's the other thing that's really bizarre to me, and I guess it makes sense, is basically you want to see the fact that these rate hikes are working, and what that means is tighter restrictions on company and more people getting fired. They want to see unemployment going up right now, and the fact that it's not is not good. So we got a slight rally on the fact that he said we might back off on the rates, but then when the jobs numbers comes out, it's like, well, it's still not working, guys.
Oopsies.
So yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, hit a +1 in the chat if you have a gig job on top of your main job.
And a gig, just describe like the gig economy or what a gig job is for some people at home that may not know.
So if you're basically doing some 1099 work on the side, you're driving for Uber, you're doing DoorDash, or selling feet pics, whatever. We talked
about some side gig. Drew has his fence business. We talked about that guy that was selling stuff online. Yeah, there you go. I
it's, I feel like I live down here because I'm down here so much lately. But remember, guys, I still live in New York City, right?
Yeah.
And so one of that's a high pressure cooker city to live in because it's so incredibly expensive. And one of the things that shocked me, and this isn't even now with this huge inflation, this is like probably starting about 7 years ago, I knew a number of different lawyers or doctors that also had gig jobs on the side. I'm like, this guy's a doctor and he's also like moonlighting as a driver or whatever it is, all these other things. So the economy is definitely in a different state than it was in the 50s when somebody could work as a secretary and buy a house. Yeah. That day is gone.
Yeah, I agree, and I was looking for, I saw somebody say first time chatter. This was our first time subbing and hanging out in the basement. So welcome. There it is. Mike Hill 71. I couldn't refine your chat, but I recognize that name. Also, CPT Corey renting out stuff I don't use, first time chat. So we have people doing stuff. I do not believe, I see a lot of people saying they do OnlyFans man feet pictures. I do not believe this many people that hang out in the basement have profitable
This is a
feet
serious
pics.
Scientific poll we're trying to do.
Yeah, we're trying to do this
You'd
for
be
real.
streaming right now if that was really your job.
Yeah, exactly. If all you guys wouldn't be hanging out here trying to figure out how to make money with crypto if you were all rich off OF feet pics. But So real quick, coming back, Bitcoin has slipped about $200 since the news. Traditional markets, NASDAQ futures have tumbled nearly 2% following the strong data and the 2-year treasury yields. And that's another one, the treasury yields, basically the treasury yields and the unemployment numbers seem to work kind of in tandem, and the bond yields and a lot of that kind of stuff. We don't want to see high yield short-term bond yields, correct? We want to see those going down, and we want to see unemployment going up. We don't want to see the inverse where basically we're trying to bait people into supporting our economy right now. Like if you understand APY it's really interesting taking the crypto understanding of APY and applying it to the government. And it's like, oh, like what happened when things are starting to crash? They start ramping up that APY so people put money in.
Yeah, when you have short-term bonds that are higher APR than longer-term bonds, it's basically a great illustration of a lack of confidence or economic sort of prospect of where we're currently at with the economy.
Yeah, Hellfire Response said BTC slipped $200 based on this news. Really? Like, yeah, $200, which is next to nothing, is what I'm interested in. It's sitting at 17.1, 17.2, and it didn't. Like, it's still trying to hold really, really strong to that 17,000 number. But my question to everybody is, Drew, I want to hear from you on some of this stuff too, because I know you follow the Fed rate and a lot of that kind of stuff.
I was asking you.
I'm like, I don't know what the frick is happening.
Yeah, Joel, you do not cover. Hey, Joel helped us figure out what basis points were last time. So no, but I'm saving him for the metaverse
I built
stuff.
this stage. That's what I did.
That's right.
Do you know about simoleons?
No.
Oh my gosh.
What the hell is that, dude?
Yeah.
Is that The Rock?
Yeah.
It's the money.
Dwayne Johnson?
It's the money from The Sims.
That's Samoans.
Simoleons.
Simoleons.
I saw a chat pretty insightful. A lot of people retired during the
Somalians?
original COVID.
Yeah, 2021.
You mean they unalived?
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, they're basically saying that employment is still going up, even though we see this gig economy is being cooked into the data.
Yep.
Kind of giving the government the ability to continue constricting.
They can massage it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the day-to-day person is going to get worse and worse while the government stays on its pillar and says, no, you're still doing too good. You bought too many things during COVID. We need to stop this now and destroy demand. And yeah, it's unfortunate that we trust these tyrants at this point.
So one of my questions though is, and I don't know the answer to this, but what was the drop off in employment due to the pandemic, and how much of the jobs coming back, these jobs being added, is still a response to that, in addition to not only people coming back, but the psychology, I think, of not the world, but especially the Western world in the U.S., transitioning into these alternate forms of employment, because once people sat on their butt for a little while and didn't have to go into their job, they said, well, I don't need to do that. And they found other means to make money that was more satisfying to them, that gave them more freedom. So all these things, it's very convoluted to see this evolution happen right now. And then also look at the numbers as we did traditionally. I don't envy the statesmen and the congressmen and the Fed for figuring out how to tackle this.
It's called States People.
Well, states people.
States
people.
Yeah. Well, and that's the problem, is that what they all want to do is kick it down the road for the next person to handle, because they're all trying to get reelected, and doing what's best for the long term is not a good thing to run on when you're trying to get reelected next quarter, next year, and it's part of the issue. We see a lot of BTC Poppy. I would hold your hand, briefly. Sorry.
We're turning into Idiocracy. Have you ever seen that movie?
Oh, I love that movie.
It's a documentary. It's not even.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but that's kind of what we're turning into, because everything it's shaped by money. It's shaped by who's going to contribute to my campaign to stay elected versus let me make good decisions for what's happening.
You see what I'm reading? I'm reading Sofa King Cryptic's chat. He said, I asked my wife what she wants for Christmas. She says, nothing would make me happier than a diamond ring, so I'm getting her nothing.
That's good.
Savage.
Oh, that's good.
Savage. People who work in massage will eventually.
Wait, what is that?
I can't read that one. I can't read that one. That's gonna get us demonetized at
That's
some point
really
or somewhere.
good.
I should see that's so. Yesterday, guys, I warned you of the folly of starting to read a chat before you know where it ends,
Yes.
and sometimes you need to know the ending before you start reading it. So.
Especially if it's going to be a happy one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was hoping they could figure it out if they read
There
the
it
chat.
is. There it is. There
Yeah,
it is.
great
We got
movie. Anyway, okay, we're gonna bring this back on point a little bit here. So,
Let's try.
okay, in 2022, the Fed lifted its benchmark Fed funds from a rate of near zero, and that's basically what happened. So for years and years and years, money was free. Basically, they were printing money and giving it at a 0% interest rate, and they were even talking about negative interest rates, if you guys remember that, and how
They did it in Europe, right?
if any, yeah, they did. They actually tested negative interest rates in Europe, and if anybody understands math at all, you can understand that will not work for very long. And so they were at zero for far longer, and really. So put it this way, I remember being in real estate in 2010 when they started dropping a lot of these rates dramatically and saying there's no possible way the Fed can hold interest rates down this long. You need to buy now while you can take advantage of this interest rates. And they held them near zero for almost 10 years, basically. And then, started saying at the beginning of this year they needed to move it up to a range of 3.75 to 4. Central bank expected another rate hike, blah, 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 December 15th, which we've talked about, which would move us up to 4.25 to 4.5. We know they originally wanted to target basically 5%, which is up from 4.6 a few days ago. Labor market, which is especially important for inflation, shows only tentative signs of rebalancing, and wage growth remains well above levels that were consistent with 2% inflation over time. And this is a little bit of the double talk where this is just not true, in my opinion.
What does that even mean?
Yeah, I mean, the Fed, if you look at wages to inflation, it's not even close. Like, inflation has gone through the roof. And like, if you look at it, it's like this. Oh, I can't
If my income increased the same amount of the cost of a box of chicken wings, or the same amount of the cost of even eggs, if my I'd be quadruple stacking on crypto
so
right now.
On that note, this is why you start to see some of when you look at statistics for overpaid jobs, it's jobs that have their pay directly linked to asset prices. Why is real estate agents getting paid so much? Because their pay is linked to the asset price. So their pay automatically inflates with
scales.
assets.
Yep.
So do stockbrokers. So do crypto exchange. So does a lot of the financial system. It's percentage based on asset prices. So that's a fun factor. Like, if you're looking for a career choice, try to find a job that has where your pay is linked to asset prices, and you can increase your pay over time, regardless of inflation. That was kind of a big epiphany moment for me. Realizing that they get paid on the hard asset increasing, like if you're something in Bitcoin, if you get paid for percentage in Bitcoin, as that goes up, you're going to get paid a little bit more for the same service. Same with real estate, same with stockbroker. It was it was an interesting thing there. So we chat to disrupt the flow of random bouts of laughter this way. Yes.
But one question, how come in California people are getting paid 20, I think it's $21 or $22 an hour to work at McDonald's? Like, why is that a thing?
Oh,
But yet here in middle America,
We're going to get into politics here.
I'm just saying.
You've got people that
Let's
work
see
in,
how long they
the
continue
tech-
that.
You got
Dude,
people
I worked at
working-
McDonald's, okay? I made like $8 an hour in
Yeah.
California. It sucked. And then 10 years later, they're making
3 times as
22?
good, bro.
So-
They're 3 times as good.
Here is the answer for that. The answer is California wants to bring on robotic service jobs as fast as possible. So they are hiring
Pricing it out.
low-wage
Do you
employees.
think that's
testing
Do
grounds.
you think that's true? Do you think they really want to bring robots on rather than people, or do you think they really just don't understand supply and demand economics?
Well, that's a given.
San Francisco just passed a law that is going to allow basically robots to use
Lethal force.
lethal force. That's the word.
Yeah,
They
and
did?
you know what?
Yeah, they did.
They're not allowed to be armed with guns, but so they're going to arm them with bombs. How ridiculous is this?
It was
Does this
passed.
sound
What do we
like
have,
a joke?
self-destructing drones out here?
Yes, it will have a bomb instead of like some sort of round to tranquilize somebody. I'm like,
These are the same people that are against the death penalty.
yeah.
I mean, it
Are
makes
okay.
sense to me. They're closest to China.
And no, this is not Saturday Night Live skit.
I was
Everybody,
gonna say this is we're
real.
like this is trying to get us demonetized.
listen.
We're all like
I was just talking about topography.
Twitch,
are
don't kill
facts.
us.
Hey, man,
YouTube,
you can
don't
cancel
kill us.
blockchain, but hit network gaming, baby. And that.
But we're joking. This is all just satire.
What could go wrong with killer robots? Yeah, great question.
Yeah, what could
So
go wrong?
if I
Exactly.
flash my thumb drive, is that like
Yes.
bad?
The fact that it was passed with such a majority, it was like 8-2, I think.
Yeah.
Bullish.
Oh yeah.
That's what's scary.
This is insane. I didn't hear anything about this.
It's a real story.
No one.
Yeah.
Never
heard of that. Yeah.
Is this like now? Is this a bill or is it a law?
It's passed
It's
now.
It's a passed law. It's a
It's
law.
a passed law. So there are now robotic kill.
Like I said, we're really stepping
Yeah.
into the idiocracy. It's like next they're going to ban water. So you can only water your fields with Gatorade. We're halfway there.
Yeah. But if you're, a murderer or whatever, they won't put you to death in
Yeah.
San Francisco.
All right. Well, look here. Here it is. New York Times, November 30th, 2022. The policy advanced by the board states that robots will only be used as a deadly force option when risk
Only.
of loss of life to members of public or officers is imminent, and officers cannot subdue the threat after using alternative force options or de-escalation tactics options, or conclude that they will not be able to ...
I don't want this to go in this direction, but you guys can just give a simple nod yes or a shake your head no. Have you ever really seen officers being very good at de-escalating things?
No.
Never.
No.
I will counter.
I have.
I will absolutely counter. That's like a large portion of
Full
officers'
screen.
time is spent trying to de-escalate. I have had to do it as a security officer working for the police, and you put a lot more in than the public sees. You have a lot
can
more
appreciate
restraint than the
that.
public sees. You just have to deal with exponentially more crappy people and crappy situations. So there's a lot of clippable moments that come out of a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Shut up, Drew.
Thank God.
No, I would agree.
Thank
I
God for
have a
Drew.
friend
We
who's
need to hear that sometimes.
No, I have
Thank
a
you.
friend who's a police officer in South Carolina, and like Drew's saying, you're dealing with a lot of the bottom of the barrel type of society, and it's not fun,
Right.
and you got to deal with a lot of different stuff.
Like no
so-
one cares when the officers are out on the streets handing out blankets to homeless people and de-escalating them. But the moment that one of
Yeah.
them's high on drugs and fights, it's all over the.
I mean,
internet.
imagine having to deal
Yeah.
with the societal equivalent of hexagons all day long.
Oh,
That would be tough.
But
that would be hard.
There is a problem with cops, I think. Like the young bucks, they come out and they're like, yeah,
Well,
I
yeah.
got a gun, I got a badge, I got all this, this power. And then the middle, aged people that have been there for a while, they're like the perfect match for a cop. And then the older people are like scared. So then they pull their gun out right away and they're like, oh my God, like there's like,
Is
six
that a
guys
problem
around
with
me.
cops though, or young people? Maybe they're just immature and on an ego trip
have a
and don't
gun
really
in a
understand the workforce.
I will say we're randomly speculating about stuff, so let's get it
Yeah,
back on
I
track.
was
with
gonna.
crypto.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's chain
Thank
it
you.
up.
We're going off the rails there. So I did see somebody asked about TJ stirring the pot. Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah. Somebody asked about DOT. Do we think it can reach all-time highs ever again in the next cycle? If so, that'd be 11x from here.
What was it? Wasn't it like
I
40
think it'll
bucks?
go beyond its all-time high in the next cycle.
You do?
Well, I do, but this is a caveat. Remember you and I, TJ, the last time I was on with you a few days ago. That doesn't mean the next bullish push it's going to all-time high.
Right.
I think there's more than likely we're going to get a very strong bullish push. Everybody's going to go all in on, and a lot of people are going to get wrecked if we use Bitcoin as a barometer here of the cycle. When Bitcoin hits that 38 to 40K and then pulls back down to 17 to 25K.
Yeah, read it. Read it.
Imagine having to be with Nick 24/7. Brutal.
hey, that,
And who's the
I
username that
share
said
an
that?
office.
Yeah, plan hex 369.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, look, if you have a hex bag, you've got to be one of the smoothest brain crypto investor. You obviously don't watch this channel, so
I've
yeah.
found some.
I
Nice
highbrow-
feed off of
chat.
your hate.
I've found some highbrow hex.
Hey,
people
you
know.
know
Impossible.
what? Every asset can be invested by any person. It's up to every person, the asset you choose to invest in, to figure out when the right exit time is. So if you are involved with Hex, I just hope that you're really good with TA and you understand how to have a very tight stop
Yes,
loss.
Hey, there's a lot of ways to make money in crypto.
A lot of ways to lose money in crypto.
There's a lot
The
of ways to
number
lose money in
one
crypto,
is,
too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, your brain must be like a bowling ball.
So we
Like
have a
facts and figures and data just slides right off.
So what do you guys think? So DOT all-time high previously around according to CoinMarketCap approximately $52. We're sitting at
What
approximately
was its market cap?
561 right now. I don't. Does it say?
It's right there to the left.
Oh, current market cap.
No, the maximum market cap when it was as big as it was.
Let's see.
It's right by price. If you go to the left, up to the left. Yeah. 50 Billy. Oh
53,
yeah,
53
oh, yeah.
billion.
Yeah, it could probably double.
Double. So you say
100.
so maybe approximately $100
$100
dot,
yeah,
which would
for sure.
be a heck of a run up from $5.61. So there you go. Anybody agree, disagree? Anybody, any hot takes?
I mean, I agree. I think anywhere from 100 to 150 is in the cards, depending on if we get that super cycle. Like
From
we were
1 to
talking about.
150 is in the cards. Kelly, that's bad alpha.
No.
I agree with you.
I was
Riddle
waiting for the
Defense.
reaction
Yeah.
take. That's all. Actually, if you want some real alpha,
You just said it would double to 100.
you said it would go to $1. You said from 1 to 100.
No, from $5
to
Oh.
$100 to 150.
Oh, I thought I could. My bad. My
It's
bad.
gonna go from $1 to 100.
That's what I thought you said. Okay, my bad. My bad. If you want some real alpha,
Imagine being with Nick all day, guys.
I know. Imagine that. I know. You'd
It's
be,
Friday,
You'd
man.
be
This show's going off
satisfied
the rails.
continuously. So pull up the chart for Ergo.
Okay, Ergo.
Ergo.
This is another Nick favorite.
It's an
This is Nick
alternative
favorite.
hex.
This is
project.
So
no,
hey, is Ergo to Nick as Algo is to AJ?
almost.
Almost.
So if you look at its all-time high I believe was like
I'll go Ergo buy
Over
some
here,
later.
market
Or-
cap or price?
uh,
If I can get it to
What a spike.
22.37.
yeah. And
All right,
right
and
now
then previously, and that was back in 2018. So then right now, 1874 off the last.
yes, but right now it's developing heavily alongside of Cardano.
Mm.
It's essentially like the proof of work backbone for a lot of NFT stuff on Cardano. They've been developing hardcore over the past 18 months. And right now, I think it's at what, 50 cents or even less than that?
Oh, sorry, I started looking
Check
at their
it out.
website.
Gotta
Yeah.
go back.
It's at $1.40.
$1.40. Okay. So yeah, I think it could easily reach its next all-time high, especially as Cardano starts to come into its own. So, and it's mineable. There you go.
Ah, that's why you like it. It's
I like
a
mineable
work coin.
things as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, before we move on to the juicy stuff, I mean, we really probably should be on the juicy stuff by now. I was
Yeah.
gonna ask you guys if you think if we're gonna be 100, if crypto is 100% correlated with the stock market, the Fed, rate hikes, all that kind of stuff through 2023, yes or no, Drew?
Sadly, yes. I think we're going to be correlated probably until I'm feeling like the end of 2023. We have a chance to break away from it. If we can get some regulation solidified, maybe possibly a Shell and ExxonMobil hard-sided bid into the mining process by Joe Biden's White House release. That'd be sweet to see. But yeah, I definitely think that we're tied to it until at minimum like October 2023.
I tend to agree, unfortunately. I wish, do we hear a sound when those things play, by the way? Thank you for the follow. If you guys aren't following, liking, subscribing, doing all the things, notification bells if you have one,
Yes.
Sharing it with all your friends, telling everybody this is the best show that's ever been invented about digital assets.
true.
Do all those things. Nick, what do you think?
About market.
Correlated, uncorrelated, 2023 Bitcoin stock market.
I think the Bitcoin won't start moving upwards until the printer comes back on. I don't know if the markets will react at the same time, but that's what I think. I saw that.
Are we talking the Fed printer or the
Yes.
Yellen printer?
The Fed printer.
Okay.
That's the only one that really matters right now. I think the Yellen printer is just on in the background, just barely keeping us from
Just humming.
dying in a fire. Yeah.
That makes sense. It's reasonable.
So what you're saying? So you think what do you think about next year? Then basically sideways for both.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. There could be a big move down, and then we're
Basically, if the Fed holds interest rates where they are, nothing happens. If they move them down, we're bullish. If they move them up, people continue to get wrecked more. And basically, exactly what the Fed does will determine most markets.
barring any black swan event. Yeah. And then real quick, someone asked me my thoughts on Cadena. It's backed by JP Morgan. It's proof of work. The Cadena miners right now are bananas profitable. And if you look at the market cap and how far away we are from that, it is looking at a gigantic return. So I think Cadena is definitely a proof of work coin. If you can afford one of the new miners, you're making $30 of profit a day right now. So if you're able to stack those Cadenas,
And that's in Georgia. That's with what, 0.11 kilowatt? What is our kilowatts per hour right now?
no, I get during the wintertime in Georgia, I get 5 cents per kilowatt hour.
Man, it used to be when I started doing Bitcoin mining or not Ethereum mining in 2017. It was like 0.1 was about as good as we could get.
Yeah, 10 cents. You can actually set up your power in Georgia to do nights and weekends during the summertime. So you pay basically the winter rate at night. So if you turn your miners off during the day, you're basically paying like $0 for power.
They got that. Yeah, the surge pricing thing.
Yeah. So I've got all of mine on like automatic switches and timers.
Well, let me ask you this. So you like JP Morgan for Kadena, but you hate it for Ethereum.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Wow.
Just because Kadena is mineable and Ethereum isn't.
Well, no, it's the difference is if you're gonna mine a coin, then and with an ASIC, mine Kadena. Now, is Kadena positioned? Does it have as much power as Ethereum right now? No. Is Kadena enforcing OFAC compliance, even though there is no actual OFAC law? No. So it is. Yes. Yeah. It is.
Are people actually trying to move money on Kadena? No, probably not yet.
Yeah.
You know, so that's when that OFAC stuff comes into play.
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll see. But I'm saying, like, if you're able to mine Kadena and right now during the bear market, holy smokes!
What kind of miner is it?
It's an ASIC.
ASIC.
It's a Kadena miner. I think the brand new ones are about $12,000. You can find other ones that are considerably less, but yeah, they're.
And guys, do you ever use what? Do you still use what to mine?
Every day.
Yeah. Okay. If you guys are new to mining or haven't ever looked at this website, what to mine, really valuable. I mean, it's got a lot of different algorithms, and you can just plug in like, okay, I've got, like I don't know, most of this is 480 isn't really relevant anymore, but you come in, okay, I've got a 37 Ti, I've got 10 of them. You can basically put all your numbers in and somewhere kilowatt hours and basically all your costs and all that stuff, and get projections on what you would be profitable, where you're at, and all that sort of stuff. So if you're interested in that, they've got GPU mining, ASIC.
If you go
mining.
to ASIC, you'll see at the top of ASIC, you'll see, and just scroll down. Just scroll down. You'll
here
see
you go.
Kadena's. Yeah, Kadena's what?
Dash Grin. One of my that was one of my 2018 spec mining projects. Grin, Mimble Wimble. Started a lot of that started to be used to test. Here's Kadena right here.
Yeah. So click on Kadena.
Privacy on Litecoin.
Yeah, there it is.
Mimble Wimble.
Cool. So then you scroll down a little bit. I think you'll see the profitability. Yeah, every month $91 of straight profit, and that's right now. I mean, it's like it's. I think it's Kadena's like I don't know $1. And its all-time high was like 55 or something like that.
Whoa.
So,
whoa.
Yeah.
But TJ,
you do that math.
Can we take it back to the question you had earlier?
Sure. I don't even
because
remember
I disagree vehemently with
correlation.
Yeah. With the notion, everybody has this idea that when the Fed pivots, the markets are going to be unleashed, and I think that's completely unfounded, especially looking at the data over the last 30 years, that when the Fed pivots, that's when the worst part of the bear market happens in traditional markets. You get another 30 to 50% drop. So I do think, yes, we will have a bull market come out of that, but there's going to be more pain after that the Fed pivots initially. And so the correlation, I think Kevin Svensson, another YouTuber, TA analyst that I talk with quite frequently, he's been on my spaces as well. He made a good point. It's not necessarily about the correlation of the Bitcoin tracking the traditional markets. It's more like looking at the traditional market and noticing that when there's uncertainty in the market, then Bitcoin suffers. When there's certainty in the market, Bitcoin is as powerful as it can be. So that's sort of the correlation that I'm looking for. And I think that things are going to be uncertain. And I do think we're going to push up a little further right now, probably with the S&P and the traditional markets. But I think there's probably more pain in the works for a further downside with traditional markets, and probably bring Bitcoin down a little bit more with it in the first quarter of 2023.
I can see that. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And yeah, it'll be interesting. I tend to believe it's going to be hard for us to break away from the Fed, but I also agree it's not going to be an immediate reaction like a lot of people are thinking. And I think when the Fed does start to pivot is when we'll see the correlation break. So as long as they're raising and tightening, things are just people are going to be holding on to their assets, and things are going to get worse and worse and worse. And then once they hold and everyone will start to position differently, and then when the move back up comes, that's when we'll really start to see where the chips
But
landed.
the dream is that Bitcoin actually breaks away, because it should be interacting differently with markets than traditional markets are, than the way traditional institutional investors are. And right now
should be
right.
Yeah, and I will say this. Because if it doesn't, don't panic, because this is what they told us in, that was the entire narrative, right? Of Bitcoin is an inflation hedge. Bitcoin is an asset that you go to when there's uncertainty. And when there was the most uncertainty ever in the entire world, which was 2019 and December 2019, January, February, March 2020, all of us Bitcoiners like, this is our time. This is it. Bitcoin's going to go crazy, and stock markets, everybody's going to flee the stock market and go into Bitcoin as an inflation hedge, and it's going to rocket to the moon. And what happened? Bitcoin crashed. Bitcoin crashed hard and fast, just like every other asset, and it was still treated as a risk on asset instead of a risk off asset. So hopefully that does change in this next cycle. But if it doesn't, don't freak out.
It is starting to change, though. I mean, I shared I shared a tweet about it this morning, and I don't know what the number is on this for other assets, but Bitcoin right now still has over 68% of everybody that's holding Bitcoin has been holding for longer than a year.
Yeah.
So 68% of Bitcoin that are in the market have not moved for more than a year, meaning that they're long-term holders. In the face of drawing down 78%, that is ridiculously incredible. So the maturity in the market is starting to come in, but we're having more and more institutional players come in, and that means as that happens, we're still going to be faced with the volatility that is tied to risk on, risk off, because they're not playing out of a new playbook just because they're in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
They're still going to be trading with the same playbook that they were using before because they don't understand the difference.
Well, and traditionally, you got to have to remember, Bitcoin is still an emerging asset class. It's still a risk-on asset. It's still something you put traditional big wealth money is going to put 1 to 2% of their portfolio in there as a hedge, and that's all we really need. Once that happens, we're back off to the races.
Yep.
Hold on, shout out to Gotsy. I avoid all this crypto drama by making sure I have zero money to spend on it.
Hey, that's one way.
The government's doing that for us. Inflation, baby.
Wave One Collectibles said, I've been fighting FOMO at the current prices, trying to use reasons that the market could actually get worse. And there are, I mean, there's a very real scenario going down to $10,000 and hanging around $10,000 for a long time, which is a 50% correction approximately from here. But to me, we're close enough, and to start laddering in, which we've talked about a lot on both channels and all that kind of stuff. Pixie Kate, hey, facts, good first chat. Welcome to the basement.
But TJ, let me ask you. I don't know if you already have it queued or if we're about to wrap or what. But somebody asked a question way earlier that I thought we should bring up because it's time sensitive and it could have a huge impact on the market. And I think there's going to be some things that change around it, and that's this whole there's no better word than kerfuffle going on now with Coinbase and Apple with this whole gas fee NFT them taking 30%. I do think Apple's going to pivot on that because it's kind of ridiculous in that nature. But I think there's going to be new rules and new things established out of this, especially with the pressure from Epic Games and Elon Musk. And, I mean, I think Apple is going to have to change these at some point soon, and it's going to benefit crypto.
Yeah, the question was, if Apple wants 30% of NFT transactions, should we be worried about crypto transaction fees? Also, Chemistry Bro said, I think it's analogous to them asking shipping companies to pay Apple 30% of shipping fees from people using iOS Amazon app to order stuff online.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Apple and Google Play both have a 30% basically fee for
racketeering fee.
Yeah, racketeering fee, hustler's fee, whatever you want to call it, monopoly, duopoly fee. Basically, they both agree that any app listed in their store, duopoly, you have to pay 30% of all in-app transactions. Joel, you probably remember this from they got into it pretty big with Epic Games because which is the creator of Fortnite, for those of you who don't know. So Fortnite,
best game ever made.
There's a lot of buying and selling going on within Fortnite, a lot of in-game purchases, and they removed, and basically Epic decided, Apple said you have to pay us 30% of those fees, and Epic decided, you know what, we're just gonna leave your store. What is going on up there?
Dude, everyone's just messing with me, man.
Joel.
It's 2:00, bro. You guys are asking me hard questions. No, but you're right. Wasn't that they got sued and they pulled everything off?
Epic, yeah.
Epic did,
Yeah.
Crazy.
They can't keep doing that and still keep their market share.
Well, and they just got into it with Tesla, and for those here, we haven't watched any clips today. Let's watch this little clip. Who knows? Well, hold on.
I don't know if the sound's gonna work because we
three of the biggest guys in the
got this
office.
hooked up to Apple. Let me see here.
It'll work.
I mean, but the crazy thing about all of it is, it ties in with stuff that's not like if you're playing Farmville and you're buying assets for your farm on there, you're paying a portion of those fees you're paying to the game go towards Apple. But the nature of, I have an NFT and I'm sending it to you from the app and they're getting 30% of the gas fee. That is asininely ridiculous.
We don't have to watch this, Drew. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
It probably won't work. It is, and
You're
I
showing your
think
age, Kelly.
I think they'll pivot. I think this would really, Apple would take a big reputational hit for this. They've already been in the limelight with it with Elon Musk. He was threatening, he was alluding to that they were threatening to pull Twitter from the store if they didn't follow certain standards and certain, rules, basically. They said today they've got that worked out. And he basically said, look, if you're going to use your app store as force over me, I'm just going to make my own phone and do our own app store, our own operating system, which obviously easier said than done.
Oh, yeah.
I thought they already have the Tesla Pi phone coming out.
They do. They have a phone. But I'm just saying the app store, the operating system, functioning time, like the Google Play Store and the Apple Store have been around basically since the beginning of apps.
Yeah.
So it's tough to break into that market, I feel like, in my opinion. But I did want to talk a little bit before we wrap up. I mean, we've been going for 45 minutes already. I was planning to get into this about 10 minutes in. But the SBF conversation from yesterday, for those of you who weren't in the spaces, SBF, first crypto interview since the FTX collapse. It was kind of the first time that the crypto industry got a chance to ask some direct questions. Who in here was listening to some of that space? Nick, I know you were. Drew, I know you were. All right, Kelly. Oh, you listened too, Joel? All right, look at you go.
Listen, I went in there and I was like, I don't understand what's happening. I'm sorry.
It's all right. No, guys, let us know in the chat if you were in there. There was about 40,000 people listening live. It just kept going and going. I was listening to it here all night last night, and mixed reviews on some of the questions. I thought Rand did a pretty good job asking a lot of questions. I thought CoffeeZilla came in hot, and they knew how to address direct questions in a way and not let people wiggle out of the answer.
They were setting them up. They'd ask a question, and based on that question, be like, okay, well, then you must be able to answer this. Oh, well, all of a sudden, now you forgot about the 100 million you were just talking about for 20 minutes.
30 seconds ago, you just said you knew this, and now you're saying you don't remember. Like, what's the deal there? So we'll get... I don't know if we should start with my crazy theory or just get into some of you guys' takeaways.
Yeah, I want to hear your theory.
So this was my crazy theory. One of the most interesting things, there's a lot of interesting things that were said, a lot of things that I think were pretty potentially incriminating when he's very well trained, and you could tell he's done a lot of training on questions and how to say I don't remember and how to say I don't have the information and it's this person's responsibility and that. He was very dodgy with a lot of his answers, but as a true sociopath would, he went out there and addressed every single answer against the advice of probably every legal professional in existence, because there's really very little upside unless you think you can lie your way through everything, which I think he does. I think he truly believes he can convince everybody to come around to his side.
I got a theory.
Yeah. And so one of the most interesting parts, Chet, this guy that was doing a lot of line of questioning, he was trying to come in pretty hot like a lawyer and do this whole psychology thing where if I just ask him rapid fire questions, I'm going to get him to make a mistake and, get him into that you can't handle the truth moment. And, it never really found its stride. But one of the most interesting questions he asked, and he did get him to confirm that he did file for bankruptcy under duress at about 4:30 in the morning with only whoever his legal counsel was at the time, which was likely, Friedberg, what's the guy's name? Dan Friedberg?
Dan Friedberg.
Likely that he wouldn't say specifically, but, I would assume that was probably the person there. And then his parents were in the room. And he did, on record, say he got offered an additional $4 billion that would have done the bailout 8 minutes after he filed for bankruptcy. And so he asked him, okay, if you're confirming, as far as you know, FTX US, FTX Japan, Australia, a handful of these other subsidiaries that were completely separate from FTX as a whole, if all of those were completely solvent and you got a $4 billion, pledge, so to speak, to fill this hole, why would you not file? And I wish I could remember what it was, but it was basically file form 001234566XYZ to roll back the bankruptcy and to try to sort this stuff out. And he indirectly said, I can't right now because I'm no longer the CEO. I'm not in a position of authority to be doing that things. It's up to the people that are there now to do that, which got my brain going, okay, there's a way to roll this thing back. There is a way that this bankruptcy doesn't go through. Now, I don't think this is actually going to happen. I think this is maybe a 2% chance, 1% chance, but so here's what I tweeted out off of that. My crazy conversation listening to the space, but here's my crazy. There is an avenue to undo this bankruptcy. It sounds crazy. US government steps in, takes over FTX to ensure it's operated properly and regulated within the crypto industry well, and makes customers whole, comes in, basically the US government gets to come in as the hero and then have a major stake within the crypto industry, have full insight into all sorts of things that are going on, and then they could push the regulation through to make themselves essentially a monopoly to operate the space. And, you're well positioned as the world goes forward. And that was just like, we got
a government bailout?
Yeah, like a government bailout. So just like they've done with the banking industry, just like they've done with the airline industry, just like they've done with the hotel industry. Now we've got a new Bank of America.
I think it's a funny notion to think that the U.S. government would take it over so it would run up properly.
Well, of course it's laughable.
It decentralized? Isn't that the whole point?
FTX isn't. It's a centralized exchange.
A centralized
Joel,
exchange run.
What a dumb thing to say.
Yeah, right. Go play some video games. All right, scoot over and pretend you like each other now.
But I think really what he's trying to do, and it's nonsensical because there's no real veracity to this being a thing. But I think he's trying to just hold yourself.
Baby Nick is a little scary. I think
he's trying to really just position that it was he didn't know, and it wasn't an active sort of scam, like on purpose, like he was doing. It was just an accidental mismanagement of funds. So it just shapes the way that he can be, charged with this. And he just sounds like an idiot.
Well, of course. I mean, that's definitely the approach he's taking from a legal perspective is mismanagement, misunderstanding, He's using a lot of keywords, distraction.
It was like Mr. Magoo was running FTX.
But did you hear when Rand pressed him about? He's like basically about the BitBoy revelation about the what do you call it? The counterfeit coins.
The tokens.
And this was Sam's response.
He said, I think you're referring to Alameda, and
I'm
actually,
not sure about that.
I'd like to get a lot of that information. And that's the number one thing he's using is Alameda is his. I wasn't running Alameda at the time. I wasn't, and everybody close to the situation is like, yes, but you were clearly very involved in the day-to-day operations of both companies. They were right there. All of the people running both of them were interacting on a day-to-day basis.
But do you think he was the driver of that ship, or do you think that he was more of a puppet from larger architecture at play?
What ship? Of where the funds were going, the transfers,
basically like the negative, illegal operation of what they were doing, and the using of customer funds and the scamming and the counterfeiting.
Actually,
do you think it was? You think he was more so him than Dan Friedberg or his parents?
I think it was him and Dan in complete. I think they were in complete communication about all of it. I think he is the technical and crypto mind behind a lot of this stuff. He does understand how to work these things. He understands. I thought it was fascinating when Rand pressed him on shorting Terra. And he basically straight up admitted that there was a really good opportunity to arbitrage that
trade.
Yeah, it was a great.
He didn't even downplay. He goes, no, there's a good trade there.
And Alameda, I'm sure pressed it. And that's. So that's what's hard for me to believe. I mean, they said it right there. Riddlewood Pun said it. I accidentally transferred all of my customers' funds to my own trading firm and used it to invest in other projects. Total accident. And it's like that's the part that it's really hard for people to believe. And Rand really hit the nail on the head too with the synthetic tokens. Basically, deposits were being made into Alameda's bank account. And then they were crediting people on FTX without ever moving the money. So the money was never in FTX, but you were getting a credit showing, hey, we received your funds and here they are. And you can withdraw them at any time according to these terms of service. But they weren't really here. He had put them over there and they were reinvesting them in projects and maybe losing the money, making the money, whatever.
Right.
And the real thing is Alameda did a lot. Alameda has bad business practices. They have predatory contracts. They have predatory business contracts. They may have made synthetic tokens. They may have done a lot of shady things, But all of that is a big distraction compared to the actual fraud crime that FTX did, which was take user funds, credit them on this exchange while the money was over here the entire time in a company that he owned 90+% of. And that's the other thing, is trying to separate Sam from Alameda is lunacy by itself. Sam is Alameda. He owns almost all of it. So when money
90%.
gets deposited, he owns 100, like almost 100%, right?
It was over 90%.
Over 90%. So when money gets deposited into that bank account, that's basically money getting deposited into Sam's bank account himself. Yep. And then he's crediting it over here, and it never actually was over there. And so it was a double spend. I mean, it was clearly fraud.
Well, and
I think
I got to chime in here.
Go ahead.
Hold on.
Jump in, baby.
New Genesis. They were on our show, and I've listened to exactly what happened between New Genesis and FTX probably about 100 times.
Yeah, you were the one going through all the evidence and organizing it.
Yeah, and I put it into layman's terms. We're going to have a write-up going up on the BitPoy website. Should be done by today, but in essence, it's I mean, the allegations from New Genesis, or just the conversation of the phone call, alluded to hard-sided knowing from New Genesis that there were synthetic tokens of new coin created. 192 million new coin were created at a valuation of 37 cents a piece, completely separate from their origination source and on the new Genesis blockchain. So it's a really ugly situation. I'm really glad that the synthetic tokens was part of that conversation yesterday, because there's a lot of unraveling this.
What irritated me about that, though, was that they broke it. This is just pride. Was that they broke it like, this is news that nobody's been able to share before. It's like, we had that on our. We've been breaking this stuff weeks ahead of everybody the whole time. And Ben's been doing a great job. You, TJ, the whole team here. Like, I'm really proud.
Yeah, Drew and Nick, all of us, we've been digging into a lot of this stuff, trying to get to the bottom. I mean, obviously, that's what we do in this space, is there's all kinds of information. I actually got a text message from a friend today that was saying, oh, I'm looking into this token, like this new project. Like, where do you go to find information about this stuff? How do you dig through it? And it's really, you just got to dig and dig and dig, read and read and read, and then, intake many different sources as possible and try to make sense of it yourself, which is obviously what we do with most crypto projects and when stuff like this comes up. So this whole situation has been bizarre. Nick, I know you, Ben, and I were talking this morning. You're like, how long do you think this is going to be going on? I think it's going to drag on for a long time. Ben said years. I think at least all of next year we're going to be hearing some information about this. Like if the government ends up coming in over and taking over and doing a bailout, I think we'll hear about it for a while. Like I said, 2% chance that happens. I think we will be hearing, Maxine Waters did that tweet today saying that but it's so passive, right? Like, why is there not a show of force from the United States government here, like we've seen with so many other people in the crypto industry? Like, why?
They don't want it.
But they want it with Library. They want it with Ethereum Max on Kim Kardashian.
Well, because this is outside of Gary's. Like Gary, he kind of stepped on his own dick with this whole situation, because he was meeting with SBF like consistently, and so he can't move on him anymore.
Yep. He has
so
no action relief.
What the government wants right now is they want this crypto boogeyman, because they all call him the crypto king. Like that's in all the headlines. Whereas SBF has nothing to do with crypto. Like he doesn't know anything about crypto.
He's a trader. Yeah.
He's just a TradFi nebbish Sigma male that has never done anything worthwhile in his life.
I like nebbish. That's a good one.
And so they want this narrative of there's a bunch of boogeymen and scammers in crypto so they can push it as regulation. He is a puppet to push regulation. Yeah. It's always been that way because his parents are controlling him.
Yeah, I mean, in Chemistry Bro says so obvious. They're just so connected to this. You know, they don't want people looking too closely. I agree, and that's why I don't know, man. If the government came over and bought it, like, it wouldn't totally surprise me when you see how much money flowed in. Like, people are going to have to vote for that, obviously. Yeah. And if it gets voted through as like one of those, like, hey, why is everybody on the same page on this? There's not a lot of discussion about it, and boom, they flow it through. But here's the tweet from Maxine Waters. Basically, Selkis saying, if Sam walks out in this hearing in handcuffs, it'll be worth it. If not, it's just another sign of institutional rot. Where she's basically saying, SBF, we appreciate that you've been candid in your discussions about what's happened at FTX, meaning fraud. Your willingness to talk to the public will help the company's customers, investors, and others. Like, what can Sam do and say at this point that will help customers, investors, and others.
Right.
And like he keeps reiterating this over and over and over. Like there's something he can do. There's like that's what gets me to think like maybe he thinks he can convince the government to do this bailout. Maybe Gary Gensler. Maybe it was Janet Yellen. Like maybe it was Jerome Powell offering him $4 billion. Like where is this $4 billion coming from that he thinks could bail everything out? That he seems very, very confident he can get. That there's things he can do to save this.
But how can I walk into a gas station and steal a drink worth $2 and be arrested
You aren't.
that day?
No, you won't be. Have you
Yeah,
seen
not
the pictures of people walking
you
out
can steal a
of?
lot of Apple product for thousands of dollars, and
They're
they'll
walking
just,
out
they'll
of
hold
the
people back
front
for you.
door.
Rules for thee, not for me. That's
Yo,
what's
so
going
and
on.
then you look up. I don't know if we can get the ISO shot on me, but if you look up what Crypto T tweeted out,
I'll go into
she
the
did a
center.
reply.
You got to be right
Go
here to
into
get
the
the
center.
ISO shot.
Let me see.
Oh, look at that.
Ooh, almost.
No focus.
No,
But
no focus.
no.
Not gonna
Anyways, these are pictures of SBF and Maxine Waters right here,
Ew.
happen.
hanging out.
just chilling.
having
they're
some
buddies.
Hanging
hangouts.
out. Shout out to Crypto T.
Talking about-
Come on around the blockchain.
I mean, look at who's in power right now. You know, I mean, and who?
No one.
Well,
The NSA, the
Larry
CIA,
Larry Fink.
Larry Fink.
Yeah.
Yes.
People that don't get voted in and out.
yeah, I mean, did SBF's been
Klaus
shoveling money and over the counter and dark money into politics for years.
like dark money.
Yeah, so I mean, it's
Trying to
rules
give
for
me
thee, not for
Can I
me.
get paid in dark money, TJ?
Yeah, you can.
Sweet, bro.
It's a thing.
Sweet dark money crypto.
But we
coming
don't
at
do that
you.
here. Obviously, everything's transparent, and
We do taxes and stuff.
yeah, we pay all our taxes. And
And I'm since I'm newer here, I've been here since August. You know, you hired me in the bear market, so I'm still
Yeah.
not sure. Is my income and everything tied directly to the asset price?
it is, yeah. Actually,
Yeah.
believe it or not, I was going to tell you that we didn't tell you that when you get hired in the bear market, your pay actually goes down the longer you were
Yeah.
here. You know?
Yes,
Yeah, it's,
that's what
Okay.
I wanted to hear.
But when, 2024, 2025 is going to be a great year for you, buddy.
Yeah,
Don't worry
yeah.
about it. You know,
26 though,
yeah,
you're slaving away. in the
yeah,
kitchen.
exactly.
that's a
But
pretty brutal tweet, though.
Yeah, it's sad, but like it's soft. It's extremely
It
soft.
is.
Like, hey, please, like we want you to come. It's not like we're coming after you, department. You know, like we want to, like we have questions and we need answers, or you're going to jail. It's like you can help. You can help your customers and your investors and others. To that end, we'd love to welcome your participation in our hearing. And to Selkis's point, if he walks out of that hearing in handcuffs, it's worth it. Otherwise, it's just a sign that all of these people are playing some kind of political theater, which is
It's
what it
like-
feels like.
It's like, hey, honey, you're doing great.
Yeah, it's a participation trophy levels of
You can do better
justice.
next time.
Yeah.
Right.
Someone else tweeted said, "Looks like one of Sam's investments finally paid off."
Yeah. Well, I love that. That was one of
Yeah.
the things of like, hey, I saw a tweet that said like, hey, donate 40, steal 10 billion, donate 40 million. It looks like the best value investment of all time, or
Yeah.
like donate 40 million to stay out of prison for stealing 10 billion, best value investment of all
All
So
time.
time.
accurate.
Yeah, and it really tends to be that way. And that's the other thing that when he was pressed on, couldn't really get a straight answer of like, where's the money? Where's the money, Sam? It's
He doesn't. He knows.
yeah, but he says, oh, I don't have access. I don't have data. You'll have to ask the X, Y, and Z.
So
and,
there are 22 Delaware LLCs that FTX made, 22 alone, and there are probably another 50 companies that are FTX holding companies throughout the world,
Ugh.
in Europe, in Asia, all over the place. And I'd say probably a quarter of them are just straight up real estate.
Yeah.
property
shell
property
companies.
management.
Yeah, they
It's like
took
real
people's
estate
money
slush funds,
and they
yeah.
bought real estate and shell companies where they could be protected. And once this all blew up, nobody could access it. And it's very well thought out. And that's what blows my mind, that they can claim pure incompetence
This is
at this point.
premeditated.
Yeah, it's this is not an accident. All this money was moved,
Yep.
things were bought, and they were protected in a way that bankruptcy filings couldn't get them.
Yep.
So
And he had to sign on most of the dotted lines to set those things up.
Yep.
yes.
Yep.
So
And
you mean you
negligence
don't know.
is not a defense for fraud.
And Manly Crypto said, TJ just watched the FIFA documentary suggested on Netflix. Great suggestion. Or he said good suggestion. I was trying to hide myself. It was just a good suggestion. But
Yeah. Wow.
it is.
TJ.
Yeah,
TJ
I think it's
coming
a
in with
great
good
suggestion. But
Lame.
Dead.
now I
Sad.
forgot what I was about to say.
I have
That's okay.
questions.
All right, what you got?
Well, I don't know if I should ask this one, but
Do it.
now.
Unforgettable Name said, is anyone worried about Ben's safety following his recent words and ventures?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a lot of like things were pretty safe down there in the Bahamas. I think we might be. Don't short yourself, TJ. It was a great suggestion. Thanks, Urkelson. I think
if we
there's
worried about all of Ben's words,
Yeah.
we would just worry all the time.
Yeah.
there's a lot of words. That's a great way to say it.
There's no time for that.
Yeah.
Beardolence said, will proof of work or proof of stake outperform next run?
Proof of stake.
Proof of stake, probably.
Okay.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I was just trying to
Probably,
get in
yeah.
before Nick started on some proof of work rant.
No,
so.
I mean they're all everyone's gonna perform next bull run.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
like
that's
even
true.
Ravencoin, God bless.
Hex.
In a bull market,
Yeah, but not Pulse Chain. Where's Pulse
Where
Chain,
is Pulse
Richard?
Chain?
That's right.
Oh.
Richard, where's Pulse Chain?
Wave One Collectibles said, blockchain basement crew, what will be the first real use case for NFTs that isn't artwork?
Tickets.
Receipts.
Tickets.
Yeah, I think
I mean, I don't know what the first
Or
one is,
tickets,
but yeah,
yeah.
tickets for sure. Real estate.
like premium.
deeds.
You could say tickets, but I'd really classify it even more like premium rewards.
Yeah.
Backstage passes. Like if you look at the way they do event, you're talking about events like premium access at events is what I see.
And
it.
gaming properties.
So actually, here's
Like
what I think is the sleeper
weapons and stuff.
application for blockchain is anti-cheating in video games.
Mm.
So especially for competitive video games, as soon as you get like League of Legends or Counter-Strike on a blockchain that can literally verify everything, so it cannot be cheated, then you've got a gigantic use case for that blockchain.
Esports are growing.
You needed 10,000 transaction per second thing like Avalanche, or what's the other one that's 10,000? Like e-gold, right? Or whatever they are now, Metaverse X.
Yep.
Yeah. So those high throughput blockchains, even HBAR, could be a gigantic win for esports.
I mean, and I think that the biggest thing people don't realize about NFTs, like the majority of people, especially outside of crypto or outside of this ecosystem, they see a Bored Ape and they say, or a rock that's $1 million, and they're like, why?
Oh, yeah,
and
ETH
people
rocks.
don't realize that like a lot of it has to do with just proof of concept.
Yeah,
right.
history.
And then in reality, in another 10 to 15 years, somewhere in that window, maybe 20,
Yep.
probably under 10. The NFTs are going to be so pervasive. We're going to wonder, like, it's going to be surprising how new this was to us. Like,
Yep.
medical records are going to be NFTs. Your car deed, your housing,
That's
your,
what I was
your,
gonna
your
say.
driver's
Land
license,
deeds.
The
all
boring,
these
the
things.
boring stuff,
Yeah.
title, land deeds, all that kind
Ownership
of
of
stuff.
anything.
Yeah.
And
This is why, and you spoke about it last time when talking about rather than picking the specific projects that might moonshot, pick the rails that these things go on. So
Yep.
even with NFTs, if you find a great art project that you like, get it, fine. But if you're trying to invest into something long term, figure out the rails for those NFTs,
Yeah.
like the layer one platforms that they're going to be, basically
Polygon.
Yeah, Polygon. Is Tezos still growing pretty large?
Tezos is still very much in gaming.
Okay, funny you guys brought that up. I was looking at Tezos, an older project, been around a while, already settled with the SEC. When this new regulation stuff comes out, could have a lot to benefit from to be considered
I
a
didn't know they already
commodity.
settled.
They have already settled.
I did not know that.
Yes, early on, because they got caught up really early on, and that's part of why they stumbled out of the block. They had only 3 people running their foundation. One of them basically was cock blocking everything, and it caused a huge problem.
Horrible.
So anyway, a couple quick things in the chats though. Music festivals have already started. We see that a lot. Tiny Aim said subscriptions, and I think that's another way of saying premium content or premium access. But subscriptions, that's what we've seen with Players Lounge. They've done a lot of of content around NIL athletes, so they're using subscriptions. Somebody said Avenged Sevenfold's already using it for tickets. I've seen a lot of different concerts using those sorts of
that's
things.
bearish. That's pretty bearish.
Avenged Sevenfold. I was saying it just for Drew. I was saying it for Drew, our hard metal, our metal guy
I
here.
never liked Avenged Sevenfold.
They're like the 30 seconds to Mars of metal.
Nightmare.
No, they're the. I can't even think of their name.
Unbelievable.
Esports is huge. I figure there was one other chat I was looking. Medical records. Yes, we're seeing basically vital records, which is kind of what Ali was bringing up. The marriage certificates, death certificates, birth certificates, title and deeds, and a lot of those kind of things being stored digitally. Obviously, it's pretty archaic the way a lot of this stuff is done now. But
Hellfire Spawn. Your ticket broker NFTs may put you out of business soon. Well, then I challenge you, sir or ma'am, to pivot.
Yeah, I was in HR and I figured resumes were done for, and more, basically job application market was going to be dusted by blockchain in general. So here I am. Spent 10 years doing that. Figure it out.
Dang.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's what market is. You have to grow, you have to adapt, you have to shift and move where the things are going. So we're running out of time today, guys. Love hanging out with all of you guys in the
Put them
basement.
socials up, Drew.
Yeah, get the social up. But we do have, I did have one more story. Maybe we'll get into it another time. Firefox developer Mozilla goes all in on the metaverse, acquires Active Replica, which is interesting to me. Something to talk about. Maybe we'll save this for another day, which I say often, and I never do come back to these stories. So maybe you'll have to read this for yourself. But if you guys remind me, maybe I'll pull it back.
Put it in Trello, buddy.
All right.
Well, it's in Slack, but it's like there's gonna be a lot between now and Monday, and I'll probably come up with other stuff.
We're
If I
raiding Hit Network Gaming too.
Hit
so-
Network
Let's
Gaming,
go.
guys. Joel, the
Gaming.
guy that was just right here, he's in there playing video games like you wish you were. Go in there and watch
Have a
him
good
play instead of doing
weekend.
it for yourself.
Thank you guys for
Don't
tuning
teach
in
your
with
kids
us.
that. Oh,
Like,
thanks,
subscribe.
guys.
Real quick, BitLab Academy Trading Suite, guys.
Ooh, let's
Go
try.
check this out. Kelly, if you guys pick this suite up before Tuesday, Kelly's going to be doing a one-on-one training tutorial
Get
in
it.
Zoom, I believe on Tuesday.
Not one-on-one, but private.
well-
private for everybody that buys between now and
Yeah,
Sunday.
it's like a 40 on one. So
Feels like one
We have an
on
intro
get in
coming out.
get in on that party.
Yeah, we have an
My
intro
body
coming
can
out.
be very forgiving, so I'll take the 40 on.
There you go. We have an
Let's do
intro
it.
coming out this weekend on the
Yeah.
BitBoy Crypto channel.
right.
He's telling you the whole thing. It's a top-down view of this. Like, basically, it's really going to disrupt the whole market indicator.
Get
industry.
disrupted. Links are in the description. We love you guys. Have a good weekend. Buy Bitcoin.
Bye.
Stack sats.
See you at the
Stay
top.
safe.